we are getting some positive developments surrounding our efforts for Javi Simmons. My friends, big updates and interesting reports to talk about today, so I hope you guys enjoy. Very quickly, if you guys are still looking to secure any of this season's superb merchandise range, especially the new home kit that now has the Club World Cup crest on for the next 4 years. I think this is going to be like a collector's item. If you guys want to get it for yourselves, of course, I'd appreciate if you use my link in the card above or description if you was planning on making any purchases already. And don't forget to use Nini10 at checkout for 10% off your final order if you decide to do so. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's discuss today's first big reports. Now, for the first story, my friends, we discuss a really interesting story surrounding a player called Joaquin Panichelli, 22 years old, Argentinian, 6'2", 6'3". He's owned by Deportivo Alaves. They are a first division Spanish team, but he was on loan to Mirandes last season, where he bagged 21 goals and got 8 assists in the second division in Spain. Recently, Strasbourg pulled off an absolute mazza by securing their long-term target this entire window, as they recently bagged him for 20 million euros. That's going to be around, I think, 16.5 million fixed fee and a further 3.5 million in add-ons, which is around like 14 million plus 3 million in add-ons. So that is not a bad deal for a long-term target for Strasbourg. And I thought this was worth discussing today. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of insight behind his game and what to expect from someone like him. Now, Panichelli has this kind of old school presence, and I think the guy is superb aerially. This guy is not only attempting a lot of headers, but he has that type of emphaticness to his game, right? Like, you're seeing the clips yourselves on screen. You're seeing the type of headers he's attempting, the neck power, the direction of it, and the authority he has from these moments. He's a real weapon aerially. I mean, come on. These are the types of goals that I was seeing guys bagging for fun when I was a kid watching football. Yeah, there was many bagmen up front who were scoring these types of emphatic headers. He has that bit of old school presence to his game. But outside of that, he's deceptively quick. He works stupidly hard. He has that type of winner's mentality that Cucurella has, that a certain relaxed head legend used to have playing for us. And you know what, watching this guy, I've seen, I'm gonna sound a bit mad to some of you guys, I can't believe I'm saying this, I've watched a little bit of this guy, to keep it real with you, because I've been hearing about these links with Strasbourg for time, and I knew what these links could mean, which I'm going to confirm at the end of this report. But he does have a little bit of that Drogba-esque something to his game that I can't really explain. I think it's the mentality, I think it's the type of stuff he's attempting, how he brings his teammates into the game, how he leads from the front, how he cares more about his team getting the 3 points compared to what he's doing on the field. Him scoring is a bonus. He seems to be a very interesting type of player that Blue Co have decided to sign, because the reason behind why they decided to give so much money to Strasbourg, of course, to get this deal wrapped up, is because we see him as a possible future option for us. And it makes a lot of sense. Similar to the deal in which Omega was bought from Sturm Graz, I think, from the Austrian division. He was bought for big money. I think nearly 20 million altogether. And he was bought with the foresight and to become a future-proof signing where if we ever needed someone like him, then we have like a direct pathway into our team. And I feel like this is the reason why Strasbourg were able to sign Panichelli in the end, actually, because he had a lot of interest from bigger clubs. He could easily pick them. But I think there was that potential promise of a pathway to Chelsea, obviously, if he succeeds and if he does well. So they haven't splashed out this type of money for no reason whatsoever. And I thought it's worth maybe putting you guys onto the deal that Strasbourg, or Blue Co, I should be saying, Blue Co have now got done, because he could be someone that you might see at Chelsea in the future. And if not, if he succeeds, he could be another serious alternative, and that would be securing us big transfer profit from his sale. which is probably going to be the thing that happens to Omega one way or the other, right? So let's watch this space. But I thought, you know what? Let me just like put you onto a really interesting player, because it's not very often you're seeing guys from the second division in La Liga going for big money like this, right? So share your thoughts and opinions on how you guys are feeling about Joaquin Panichelli. Do you think my dropping comparisons are a bit mad? Hey, you're going to tell me the truth regardless if I want to hear it or not, right? So my friends, that's that story out the way. Let's discuss today's big report surrounding Javi Simmons. And right now, it feels like something is starting to brew now surrounding Javi Simmons. Now, recently, but we didn't hear anything for like 24 hours, 36 hours. Normally, that is like the best period to be in, that moment of silence, because it tells you deep negotiations are happening. Something is going on right now. This is not comfortable silence. Hard work has been done trying to secure and engineer a deal. We have a lot of positive developments surrounding this story. One of the latest updates that came out today was naturally Arsenal and Bayern Munich had actually made contact with Javi Simmons' agent to propose their offers, find out if the player was interested, try to work out if there was a possibility in which they could maybe sign the player, right? But they were both rebuffed because Javi Simmons only has his head set on signing for Chelsea Football Club. Javi Simmons has been a long-term fan of Chelsea since he was a kid, and I think this moment and opportunity is something he's not going to ignore, considering Enzo Maresca has put his personal seal of approval on this move. The second big thing currently is that the big directors are having conversations with each other. That's RB Leipzig's directors, and that is BOEHLY and egbahli. And when these guys come in with a double offensive, yeah, that joint duo, they're unstoppable. You can't beat them. But they're both coming in from whatever billionaire stuff these guys are doing to focus on getting the deal done. You know, 99.9% of the time, the deal is going to get wrapped up. Now, we're learning some interesting things in regards to what is going on surrounding negotiations currently. And the rumors coming out at the moment suggest that there is a 10 to 15 million euro valuation right now. And that's because RB Leipzig are still hoping to secure around 70 million plus add-ons for his sale, which I don't think is too crazy. Like 58 mil plus add-ons, taking it to around 60 million pounds. We're not too far off from that. I'm really curious to know how this deal gets wrapped up. Do we decide to just pay the money up? Hopefully, does a player get wrapped up soon? Joao Felix could be key actually to allowing us maybe upgrade our offer potentially to get this deal wrapped up for Simmons. Let's watch that space surrounding Joao Felix. I'll be discussing him with the final video today, so make sure you guys stay tuned right to the very end, yeah? Or maybe we could see some interesting things done in terms of how the deal is structured over time, or maybe sell-on clauses added on top. Or could you see separate deals where maybe RB Leipzig are able to sign one of our players in a different type of transfer deal? Chukwuemeka was the target, but at the moment, Kahn prefers to remain at Dortmund. That might be what he wants, but if Dortmund don't have the money to make things happen, we don't have to do any favors for them. We're not in the business of doing that. And if RB Leipzig come up with some serious instant transfer profit for us and a permanent move, I don't think that's something that is outside the ranges of possibility, in my opinion. So let's watch this space surrounding Javi Simmons. But it's starting to feel like you guys, by maybe next week, yeah, is this deal getting the here we go treatment? Is this deal getting wrapped up? Is this deal getting finalized? With a player like this, you don't want to be wasting time dragging things on, delaying things, because other clubs will step up and they'll make things happen straight away, because we've done the groundwork. We've done all the B stuff. That means that any other interested clubs can go straight into matching whatever offers that we come to. So we still have to respect Leipzig, but there are good relations across all parties. And if the news that both BOEHLY and egbahli now have entered these negotiations and this deal, we saw what happened with Mudryk, Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo. When these guys are on it, it means that something is getting wrapped up and finalized ASAP. We aren't wasting time, because as I'm saying right now, we want to get Most of the squad now completed before the start of pre-season. Javi Simmons actually played today against Toulon, I mean. He bagged 2 assists in 45 minutes from them. Seeing this guy, yeah, originally I had the compilation of his performance, but it got taken down, so I had to make this video again, which is really annoying. But seeing this guy, he does look like he's bulked up. I know that he's taken the physical stuff super serious since he was a kid, because that was going to be the main thing hanging over him that could have potentially affected his potential. But he looks like this guy is ready for the Prem. He looks like he's ready to bulk up and, you know, really handle himself physically. So yeah, that's a really positive thing to see, in my opinion. So my friends, really positive developments are happening surrounding Javi Simmons. Share your thoughts and opinions on the story, my friends. But right now, let's discuss another interesting report that came out today surrounding this Paris Saint-Germain keeper. And we've learned today that we could potentially be open to a move for Donnarumma. Now, this rumor or this report has been out there before. It's not necessarily new. But the main context resides on the fact that right now, Donnarumma and Paris Saint-Germain aren't any closer to agreeing a new contract extension. There is currently a standoff. There is no developments yet at this point in time. And I find it maybe a bit interesting. And I'm going to explain why. Because the main reason behind why there's a big standoff between Donnarumma and PSG is because Donnarumma and his camp don't like the structure of the deal presented. Paris Saint-Germain under Luis Campos have looked to reduce his base salary and increase his performance-related bonuses to make up for a reduction in the base fee. The team don't like that naturally. They'd rather have a higher base salary, and then they'd rather, of course, then have a smaller bonus. But the reality is that Donnarumma already is on like 244,000 euros a week, which is insane money, to be fair with you. And immediately, when this guy's earning around 12 mil euros net per year, this is telling me there's no way in hell this guy is coming to Chelsea Football Club. If you're not agreeing contract terms with PSG, what makes you think you're going to find that at Chelsea? What makes you think that's going to make any type of sense? I mean, there's been more serious players that we've needed, yeah. This winner that could really like seriously upgraded us, that we weren't in the business to do any deals with due to the wage demands being way too high. So I'm really surprised by these types of articles and reports. A part of me kind of feels like, is this just Donnarumma's camping team hoping to try and engineer more interest and buzz in their clients to put more pressure on PSG to find solutions? Could that be the possibility? Who knows? In the meantime, Galatasaray, who got serious money this window, are the only ones showing any real interest and potentially trying to find a deal for him. They're looking at both Ederson and Donnarumma, and they hope to bag at least one world-class goalkeeper this summer. So let's watch that space surrounding what goes on with that story. But I'd just be very surprised, you guys, if Donnarumma was going to be like a viable option for us. Yeah, he has 1 year left on this deal, but I just don't see this happening. And I might sound a little bit cynical, a tiny bit cynical, but could you make maybe like really cynical arguments that Donnarumma is kind of like the Robert Sanchez of Italian goalkeepers? I know I'm sounding a bit mad. He had a crazy Champions League campaign last season, did absolute bits, absolute numbers, but he did have this little like mid-off point during the season, only for a few months. And I think that's the main reason behind why Campos feels like he's not worth paying such a high base salary for. He did come back strong. Obviously, once he suffered that facial injury, he became a different guy when he became, you know, Donnarumma Scarface. And you saw what he was doing in the Champions League. Was there more incentive as well to perform better, knowing that, you know, you're trying to renegotiate your contract as well? That could play a part. I think Donnarumma is probably one of the best keepers in the world, though. Even though I could have sounded a bit cynical making the Robert Sanchez point, but I only made that comparison because sometimes he can be a little bit prone to these concentration errors that can affect his game. But all I can say is the last few months, you've not seen anything like that. And he's ended the season in the last 3-4 months is some of his best form in his career. So is there something here? PSG are looking at Diogo Costa and they're looking at Cavalier as well as potential options, because for them, if you're not going to sign a new contract, you won't be Mbappe 2.0. We are going to get some profit from your sale regardless. For myself, I just can't see it though, you guys, because we have such high hopes for Mike Penders. I don't see why we'd sign Donnarumma knowing that Penders is on the horizon, because then he'd never seriously have a future as a potential first choice keeper. I'm not too sure about this. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong. Listen, I can only give you guys my fair takes to the best of my abilities. But I don't know. I just feel like this is way too ambitious. And I just don't know if we've got the money for something like this. So share your thoughts and opinions on those developments, my friends. But right now, let's end things by discussing the latest on Joao Felix. And that's because Benfica now are extremely close to engineering a deal for Felix where they're going to pay 50% of his economic rights. That's around 25 mil euros. Now, there's a lot of really smart tactics and business reasons behind why this can make the most sense. I always thought it could, considering we saw Samu leave Atletico Madrid to go to FC Porto in a very similar circumstance. And it was only this summer that FC Porto paid the rest of his 50% of the economic rights. So I think for Benfica, who have spent quite a bit of money in their rebuild this summer, especially recently acquiring Richard Rios, it does maybe make sense that maybe they have to break up this fee over 2 seasons. Now, things would work in really interesting manners. On one end, there is a possibility that maybe Felix could leave Benfica after 1 season and we could sell, and both clubs would benefit from the transfer profit. But on the other hand, it's more realistic for us that Felix remains there for at least 2 seasons and then gets sold potentially afterwards, because Benfica aren't just signing Felix for like talismanic reasons or political reasons. There's also investment reasons behind this, because if Felix comes back to form, play for Benfica, he'll be back on the market again. And you've got Saudi clubs who have shown long-term interest for him, and maybe other European clubs might feel a lot more confident in making a move for a Felix that has consistency behind his game, consistency in Europe, and consistency being the star guy at Benfica. So let's watch this space, my friends. So that's pretty much all the news and updates. I hope you guys enjoy. Get involved in the comment section, share your thoughts and opinions, and I will catch you guys later with more videos. Love. Cool.